I moved to northern Minnesota in December 2019 for a job. I'm from Florida. I'd never experienced real winter before. People kept warning me, "Winter up here is different." They'd say, "Respect the cold or it'll kill you." I thought they were exaggerating. They weren't. It was January 14th, 2020. I was driving home from work around 11 p.m. The forecast had called for light snow. Nothing serious. By the time I got on Highway 53, it was a full whiteout blizzard. I couldn't see more than 5 feet in front of me. The road disappeared. I was driving blind, just following where I thought the lane should be. Then my car hit a patch of black ice. I spun. The world turned sideways. My car slid off the road and slammed into a snowbank. The engine died. Everything went silent except for the wind screaming outside. I tried to restart the car. Nothing. The battery was dead. My phone showed 1 bar of service, then none. No signal. The temperature outside was negative 15 degrees, with wind chill negative 30. I had a quarter tank of gas. No winter emergency kit. I was wearing a light jacket because I'd only expected a 10-minute drive. I sat there in the dark, watching snow pile up on my windshield, and realized something terrifying. Nobody knew where I was. Nobody was coming. I had to stay warm. I remembered reading somewhere that you should run the engine for 10 minutes every hour to conserve gas. But my engine was dead, so I did the only thing I could think of. I got out and started walking. The cold hit me like a physical blow. The wind cut through my jacket like it wasn't even there. Snow stung my face. I couldn't feel my fingers after 30 seconds. I walked along where I thought the road was, but I couldn't see anything. Just white, everywhere. The snow was up to my knees. After what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes, I saw lights in the distance. A house, a cabin, something. I stumbled toward it. My legs were numb. I kept falling in the snow and having to pull myself back up. The lights got closer. It was a small cabin, set back from the road. Smoke coming from the chimney. Someone was home. I banged on the door. No answer. I banged harder, screaming. My voice was barely audible over the wind. The door opened. An old man stood there, 70, maybe older. He stared at me for a long moment, then stepped aside without saying a word. I stumbled inside. The heat from the fireplace felt like it was burning my skin. "Thank you," I said, my teeth chattering so hard I could barely speak. My car. I went off the road. The old man closed the door and locked it. 3 deadbolts. He still hadn't said anything. The cabin was small. 1 room, a bed in the corner, a wood stove, a table with 1 chair. No decorations, no photos, nothing personal, and no phone that I could see. "Do you have a phone?" I asked. "I need to call for help." The old man shook his head. He pointed to a spot by the fire and gestured for me to sit. I sat. I was so cold I wasn't thinking clearly. I just needed to get warm. The old man went to a cabinet and pulled out a blanket. He handed it to me, then sat in the only chair and watched me. He didn't blink, just stared. "Thank you for letting me in," I said. "I would have died out there." He nodded slowly. Then he spoke for the first time. "You're the 3rd one this winter." I looked at him. 3rd one. 3rd person to knock on my door. Lost in the storm. What happened to the other 2? I asked. He didn't answer. He just kept staring at me. That's when I noticed something. On the floor, next to the wood stove. A jacket. A heavy winter coat. Wet, like someone had just taken it off. But the old man was wearing a jacket, and I was wearing mine. "Whose jacket is that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The old man's expression didn't change. "The last one." My blood went cold for a different reason now. Where's he now? The old man stood up slowly. He walked to the cabinet and opened it. Inside I could see rope, tape, a hunting knife. I stood up. Every muscle in my body was screaming to run, but I was still too cold, too weak. "I should go," I said. "I'll find another house." "Nobody leaves in a storm like this," the old man said. His voice was flat. Empty. You'll die out there. I'll take my chances. I moved toward the door. The old man stepped in front of it. We stood there, facing each other. The only sound was the wind howling outside and the crackling of the fire. Then I heard it, a sound from under the floorboards, a muffled thump, then another. Someone was under the cabin. Someone was alive down there. The old man heard it too. His jaw clenched. You should sit back down, he said. I didn't move. He reached behind his back and pulled out the hunting knife from his belt. I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed the burning log from the wood stove. I didn't even feel the pain, and I threw it at him. He stumbled back. I unlatched the door and ran. The cold hit me like a wall, but I didn't stop. I ran into the blizzard, into the darkness, into the snow. I ran until I couldn't breathe, until I collapsed. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. A snowplow driver had found me on the side of the highway at 4 a.m. I'd been unconscious in a snowbank, core temperature at 86 degrees. Another 10 minutes, and I would have been dead. I told the police about the cabin, about the old man, about the sounds under the floor. They searched for 3 days. They never found it. No cabin, no old man, no nothing. They said I was probably hallucinating from hypothermia, that I imagined it. But I didn't imagine the burns on my hands from the log I grabbed. And I didn't imagine the rope burns on my wrist that I noticed a week later. Rope burns I don't remember getting. I moved back to Florida 2 months later, and I still don't know what happened in that cabin. I went ice fishing with my dad every winter growing up. Northern Wisconsin. Same lake every year. Lake Minocqua. January 2022, I was 28. Dad had passed away the year before. I decided to go alone. One last trip for him. I drove up on a Saturday morning. The lake was frozen solid. At least 2 feet of ice. Safe. I drilled my hole about 200 yards from shore. Set up my gear. It was 2 p.m. I planned to fish until sunset around 5:30. The lake was empty. Nobody else was out there. Just me, the ice, and silence. Around 3 p.m., I caught my first fish. A decent-sized walleye. I was reeling it up when I heard something. A crack. Not the sharp crack of ice breaking. A dull, muffled crack, like it came from below. I looked down at my hole. The water was dark, but I could see maybe 6 feet down before it faded to black. Something moved. Not a fish. Something bigger. I leaned closer, trying to see what it was. Then I saw a face. A human face. Pale, eyes open, staring up at me from under the ice. I jerked back so hard I fell on my ass. My heart was pounding. I scrambled back to the hole and looked again. Nothing. Just dark water. I told myself I'd imagined it. Trick of the light. Shadow from a fish. But I packed up my gear. I was done. As I was walking back toward shore, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. There were other holes. Drilled holes. At least a dozen of them scattered across the ice. Fresh holes. The ice around them was still clear, not snowed over. But I was the only person out here. I'd been watching the lake all day. Nobody had been on this ice but me. I walked to the nearest hole and looked down. There was something in it. Not a fish. Something dark. Something that didn't move. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. Shined it down the hole. A boot. A winter boot. Attached to a leg. I stumbled backward. My phone fell into the hole. There was a body under the ice. I ran to the next hole. Another body. The next hole. Another body. Every hole had a body under it. All of them face up, frozen, eyes open, staring at the surface. I ran toward shore. I slipped twice, fell hard on ice, got back up, and kept running. When I got to my truck, I called 911. Police and rescue teams showed up within an hour. They drilled into the ice at the locations I'd marked. They didn't find anything. No bodies. No boots. Nothing. They dragged the lake. Nothing. The sheriff told me that ice can play tricks on your eyes. That the cold can make you see things that aren't there. that maybe I'd had too much to drink. I hadn't touched alcohol. They checked missing persons reports. Nobody had been reported missing in the area in over 5 years. But here's the thing that nobody could explain. When they pulled my phone out of the ice hole a week later, they recovered the photos from it. The last photo on my phone, the one I don't remember taking, was a picture looking up from under the ice. A picture of me, standing over the hole, looking down, taken from below. I've never been back to that lake, and I'll never go ice fishing again. I'm an experienced hiker. I've done winter camping dozens of times. I know the rules. Check the weather, tell someone your route, pack emergency supplies. February 2021, I went solo hiking in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. A 2-day trip. I'd done this exact trail before. The forecast said clear skies. The forecast was wrong. I was 6 miles in when the storm hit. It came out of nowhere. 1 minute the sky was clear. The next I was in a complete whiteout. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in 10 minutes. The wind was so strong I could barely stand. I couldn't see the trail anymore. I couldn't see anything. I knew I couldn't make it back to my car. I had to find shelter. I stumbled to the woods until I found a thick cluster of pine trees. Good enough. I started building an emergency snow shelter, a quinzee. Pile up snow, let it settle, hollow it out. It's warmer inside than outside. Basic survival. It took me 2 hours. My hands were numb. My face was numb. But I got it done. I crawled inside and sealed the entrance. It was pitch black, but it was warmer. Maybe 20 degrees instead of -10. I had my sleeping bag, my emergency supplies. I'd be okay until morning. I was trying to warm up when I heard it. Breathing. Not my breathing. Someone else's. I turned on my headlamp. I was alone. The shelter was barely big enough for me. There was nobody else inside. I turned off the light. Tried to calm down. I was just freaked out from the cold. Then I heard it again, right next to my ear. Breathing. Slow. Steady. Who's there? I said out loud. No answer. Just breathing. I turned on my headlamp and swept it around the shelter. Nothing. But when I pointed at the wall behind me, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Handprints. In the snow. Small handprints. Like a child's hands. All over the walls. Dozens of them. I didn't make those. I built the shelter. Those prints weren't there before. Then I heard a voice. A child's voice. Whispering. Cold. I spun around. Nobody there. Cold. So cold. It was coming from the wall. From inside the snow. Please. I'm so cold. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would burst. Who are you? I whispered. Cold. Help me. Please. The handprints started moving, sliding across the snow wall, getting closer to me. I grabbed my knife and started cutting my way out of the shelter. I didn't care about the storm. I didn't care about the cold. I burst out into the blizzard and ran. I ran until I found the trail. I ran until I saw lights. A ranger station, 2 miles away from where I'd built my shelter. I told the ranger what happened. He radioed for help, got me warmed up, gave me dry clothes. Then he asked me something. Where exactly did you build that shelter? I showed him on the map. His face went pale. That area has been closed for 15 years, he said. There was an accident. A school group got caught in a blizzard in 2006. A 10-year-old girl wandered away from the group. They found her 3 days later. She tried to build a snow shelter, but she did it wrong. The shelter collapsed. She suffocated under the snow. I felt like I was going to throw myself. They found her 50 feet from where you just showed me. The ranger said quietly, "Search and rescue." Went back the next morning to find my shelter. They found it, but when they dug into it, they found something else. Inside the shelter, where I'd been sleeping, there were 2 sleeping bags. Not 1, 2. I'd only brought 1. The second sleeping bag was old, rotted, frozen solid, and inside were small bones. Children's bones. They never identified them. The bones were too degraded. No DNA match. The official report said they were probably from an animal, a fox or a raccoon that crawled in there years ago. But I know what I heard, and I know those handprints weren't from an animal. I still hike, but never alone, never in winter, and I'll never build another snow shelter as long as I live.